Hey there. All right, let's do this.
Brown Dog Gadgets live.
Right. Hey, there's no Amanda there because she's still gone. So I'll just do stuff without her. Here we go. Let's switch to our overhead view. Hey, that worked. Cool. So it's Tech Talk with Pete, and I'm Pete, and I'm here, and Amanda's not here, so I'll do whatever. So today we're just going to talk about some Arduino and microbit stuff and sort of some differences between them. So you can see on the table there, I put some different things. I have a pointer. Hold on. Hey, it's over there. I gotta move me. All right, there's my pointer. It's an X-Acto knife. Okay, so this is the microbit. As you can see, there's a microbit in one of our bit boards. There's our bit board, which is, hey, John in York. Hi from the UK. Hey, John, how's it going? Thanks for joining in today. I'll muddle through this on my own without Amanda if I can. Not quite as smooth, but that's fine. So, as I said, we've got the microbit boards and then a couple Arduinos. This one's kind of hidden by me. I can move myself, I guess. There we go. It's an Arduino Uno. Here's a Arduino Uno with a shield on it, which is something we use with our solar tracker. There's an Arduino Nano, I believe. And the Nano is a board we used on our robotics board, which is one of our crazy circuits boards. And here's an older crazy circuits board called the invention board that we used. And it used a TCEA, which still is a really nice little microcontroller. I don't think they make those anymore. There was some issue with the chip supply or something, but they have some other boards. But these are all sort of your classic Arduino. This is a Raspberry Pi Pico down in the corner. Similar to these kind of Arduinos. Without putting it on a breadboard or a circuit board, it's a little more difficult kind of to use. Definitely need to do some soldering or at least breadboarding to get those things going. So we'll just talk a little about those today. Let me move myself back over there. And we're going to switch to a browser view, see if this works. I'm doing everything today. Hey, there's two of me. Cool. I can go there, or I'll just go that way. All right, cool. So let's start over here. So if you're not familiar with the Arduino, it's a microcontroller platform software called the Arduino IDE, which is an integrated development environment. It's something that allows you to write code for a microcontroller, which is really just a tiny little computer, very simplified computer. So the Arduino IDE is software you install on your computer. You download it. There's versions for whatever operating system you have, and it kind of looks like, let's see if this works. Oh. Hey, there we go. And I've still got my pointer. So this is what the Arduino IDE looks like. Maybe I can make this a little larger. Let's do that. Hey, that's slightly better. So whenever you open a new sketch, as they're called, or program, it looks like this. There's sort of two parts. There's a setup and a loop. And the way this works is when the microcontroller gets power, when it starts up, it's first going to run this setup, and it runs at once. And then it's going to run the loop, and it's going to just do that forever, over and over again. So the setup is where you put things that you want to happen once. The loop is where things will continually happen. And let's jump over. There we go. Hey, it worked that time. So that's the Arduino software as compared to, let's say, Microsoft MakeCode. Runs in the browser. You don't need an account or anything. You can just start making sketches. So I'll make one called test. All right, and you'll see this is pretty similar. So we've got our on start, which is just like the Arduino setup. And then we've got our forever, which is like the loop in the Arduino software. So that's kind of your two sections. The neat thing about what they've done with the microbit, and I didn't get this at first, is you can actually have multiple forever loops. This is actually really cool. So for the Arduino software, you can only have one loop. Like, you can't have more than one. You can type more than one, but it'll give you an error at some point once you select your board. But yeah, that's the thing. So if you want more than one thing to happen in your loop, you can't do something like this, say delay. So this would be a like 10-second delay in your code. If you do that, what happens is while it's looping, it gets to this line and it just stops. Nothing happens. So like if you're pressing buttons or you want a sensor to take a reading or something else, nothing will happen. This delay stops the code dead basically until that 10 seconds is over, and then it keeps looping again and again. So there's a way to get around this. You basically, I won't type it all out, but you create timers. So, oh, do we have more comments? Amanda says, didn't see the code. Oh, hold on. Yeah, it's weird switching between. There we go. Hey, it's back now. Thank you, Amanda. Appreciate that. I think she's back from TCEA, but probably chilling out. So thanks for tuning in. Okay, so as I said, the code here, now that I can see it, I have two screens, a lot going on. So your loop runs, it hits this delay, it just stops dead. It's not going to continue any other operations until that 10 seconds is over, it keeps going. If we compare that, if I can do this again, let me try to switch it this way. Hey, that worked. So in the microbit MakeCode, it's nice because you can create a bunch of different forever loops. And they basically run independent of each other. So like I can do blah, blah, blah. Let's do this. Where is there? I think it's called pause instead of delay, but let's say we want a 5-second pause. And then we want to change it to something else. And we want another pause. So right now this on start's gonna do nothing. We have nothing there. And that forever, oh, I can make it larger. There we go. That forever is going to loop around, and it's going to show this, wait 5 seconds, then show that, wait 5 seconds, do that forever. I can add more code in here. So I can add, let's see, I'm not going to find anything useful because, now is when I'm trying to find something useful. We'll do that. Okay. So we've got two different forever blocks, and they'll both basically run. And I believe the way it works is that the microbit will probably switch between those two forever loops, as it were. So it won't just have one. It'll do a little bit of each. And I don't know how well it works with, let's say, the timing. I assume, the chip runs fast enough that nothing you're going to notice as far as timing being off. So that's pretty neat. Let's go back to let me try it the right way. Now it really doesn't like switching. Let's see. Try that. Hey, there we go. Got it mostly working. The other thing, what I'm thinking of, so in the Arduino software, let's say you want to add a library for, let's just say you want to work with NeoPixels, and I already typed it in. So right there, you type in whatever the library you want to work with is. There's a bunch of different NeoPixel ones. I happen to know I want the Adafruit one. So you hit install. It's going to do that stuff real quick. And then you're going to get in your examples menu. Examples is kind of cool. You get a new menu item. So for that library, Adafruit NeoPixels, and it has a bunch of sort of sample code. So you can open any of those. And don't go big. All right. So here's your code. You can read through that. Hopefully it makes sense. For very visual people, this may look like just a whole lot of words, a whole lot of text, a whole lot of type, which might be a little overwhelming. But, you know, everything's kind of in there. We define pins, number of NeoPixels in whatever NeoPixel device we're working with. Again, here's your setup. Here's your loop. And that does all the magic stuff. Everything you see that is sort of light gray, it has these little 2 lines in front of it, is a comment. So like all this is just there for you to read to help you out. It doesn't need to be there. Another way you can do comments is like this and then like that. So yeah, like that. So plenty of ways to add comments to your code, and those are helpful. I believe you can also do comments in MakeCode. I think you just go like this. And that gives you a little sort of post-it comment here. So that's handy. You can collapse those, and you can. Where'd my text go? I did that right. Let's see. Collapse that. There you go. You can hit the trash can, get rid of that if you want, or just kind of collapse them. But those are handy to kind of attach to things. Very nice little feature. So if you're not a fan of what we call the block-based coding, dragging these blocks around, you can also switch to a JavaScript or Python style coding. So let's see, let's actually add something. Let's make a variable, call it foo, of course. So on start, we're going to do that. Let's get rid of that. So here's our super basic blocks. We're going to set a variable, and then we're going to do that stuff. And you've got that little comment right there, right? So if we switch to JavaScript, you're going to see this. So we don't, in JavaScript, it's a little different. So there's not like a setup per se. It's basically, that's our setup thing. So if we add anything else to setup there, let's see, let's find something. Let's set our radio group. Okay, so we threw that in our startup. So if we switch over here, you'll see it just kind of adds it to the top. So you can kind of think of this as like, hey, it's going to run these things once, and then it's going to do this forever function, which is this stuff. And you can see our comment is right here. And you can change that from, 5,000 to whatever. If you want to do 10 seconds instead of 5 seconds, hey, you're typing and you're doing code. And it's nice that you can jump back and forth and kind of see how they compare, how they relate to each other. There are ways it's easier to sort of break things in code. Because let's see, icon names, I'm going to say Pete. Let's see if that works. Hey, it's like there's a problem here, and there's nothing called Pete. So if I try to go back to blocks, it's going to be like, hey, no, you've screwed something up. So you can discard and go back, basically revert your changes, or you can stay here and try to fix it. So let's make that heart. So heart is an option. I think small heart also an option. And there's some autocomplete in here, so it'll kind of guess. So yeah, you could choose small heart. What if we do this one? Angry, asleep. I just typed the letter A. It'll try to, again, guess, autofill in. Autofill? I don't know what it's called. Anyway, so I go back to blocks, is what we got. If we switch to Python, which is, it looks somewhat similar. It's a little different, but and the way Python works is instead of functions or subroutines, is definition, I think it is. So basically, we have this thing called on forever, and that's what we're calling here with our basic forever. It's, again, it's just getting used to it. And these are the lines in our setup block, right? Our start block, as it were. So it's kind of cool. We worked with one teacher who basically said, like, I make the students use the Python mode. Like, I don't want them to use the block mode. I want, not that I want them to struggle, but I kind of want to get them the idea of how that works. And then I let them sort of use blocks later, and it's more of an aha moment, like, oh, okay, this is the stuff I typed. This is a more visual look at it. Kind of neat. So back to the Arduino. Oh, it really wants to keep the browser there. Let's see. There we go. Back to the Arduino software. There's a lot that happens here. So besides the libraries, and it can show you, I think, all your installed libraries. You can install plenty more. There's a million of them, basically, which is good and bad. Oh, let me quickly show. So if we wanted to work with NeoPixels here, there is something called extensions. So I'm going to go here and type NeoPixel. I can type, hit return, and there's some different ones. I'm just going to pick this main one called NeoPixel. And you will see we've got a new item here, and we have all sorts of options now. So there's even a more, because it won't all fit on one screen. But if I do this, I can drag these in. I can put that in my startup or whatever, and that's where I can change kind of a bunch of things here. And if we look at the code for that, see, there it is. So that's the same as that block, just in code format in JavaScript. Looks somewhat similar. Again, JavaScript, Python, just sort of a little different in how they do things. So that's fun. Anyway, that's adding an extension, which, in the Arduino software would be called a library. And let's try to get back to that. It really loves sticking to the browser. But anyway. Okay, so libraries. There's also board managers, so you can add all sorts of different boards. Let's see, the NRF. You can actually, this is kind of fun. You can actually install the Arduino NRF52 boards, which I think it's the same chip as the microbit. There's ways to sort of add other libraries as well by adding in URLs here. It's powerful, but it can also be a little daunting. We had to install the Arduino IDE on Windows machine, a fresh install last week. And when you do that, it pops up a lot of like, ooh, please give permission to install this, and it downloads a lot more stuff. But we had someone who has an issue where, like, they're like, hey, I plug it in, Windows sees it on the COM port, but like I cannot upload code to the board. And that can be a little difficult to troubleshoot. So, we do the classic, like, hey, is this a lockdown computer? Is it in a school where there's a firewall preventing some of those extra installations or something? But those are the kind of things that can be very difficult to sort of troubleshoot and assist people with. So if we deal with some teachers who are like, I've been doing Arduino stuff for 10 years. Cool, you've got it. If you're just jumping into it, there can be some hurdles. So it can be a little rough. I don't know why do I keep doing this? It's very satisfying just highlighting that code, isn't it? So back over here. So like I said, this, it couldn't be simpler to some ways. Like you go to here, I think, and this is an account. Let's do this. Let's see if this works. Okay. Go to makecode.microbit.org. And the first thing you're going to see is a bunch of tutorials, examples, stuff like that. And I think if you just jump into any of these, new here, flashing heart. It walks you through sort of tutorials and whatnot, and it does blocks Python, JavaScript. So I assume it's going to show you that, and basically it'll walk you through that code, I think. So it's pretty nice. If you want to skip all that and just go right to the editor, this is what you'll see. Up here's a sign in. You don't have to sign in. Basically, if we look over here and I go back to this, so it's going to show whatever projects I've had on this specific computer. So it's basically, these are saved like locally on this machine. So if I go to another machine, these won't be here. But the cool thing is, let's take my test here. Is this it? Publish your game. So if I do this, it's a share project, and I then have that, it gives me this link. There's also a QR code, I guess. But basically, if you go to that link, it's gonna load up all this code directly into your browser. And we use that for, let's see if this works. Yeah, it really likes the browser. So let's jump over here. Let's go to, and hey, am I going too fast? Let me know. I mean, is anyone watching? Amanda's just telling me when I'm doing things wrong. So that is helpful, actually. I do appreciate that. But I think it's okay. I don't know. I'll have to look at eCam. So let's jump into the rover. And let's go to, what's a simple one? And we'll do the tank light activated. Okay, so in all these things, all these guides and stuff we have, we usually like show the code and then say, hey, here's the code. So when you click on that, it's going to show you that code, so you can kind of get a look at it. And then if you click edit, it's going to load it up right in that MakeCode environment. So you can kind of take a look at it. If you want to use it, you can just click the little download or the little save button. It'll save it. You load that on your microbit. Otherwise, you can right away start editing things. And again, you can jump into the different modes. Ooh, this is interesting. So if you look at this, I typically always put this start thing in the upper left because I think of it as like the first thing. You'll notice here it's not at the top of the window. It's at the bottom, but it doesn't really matter because this stuff that isn't within a function, which is kind of or an input, it's on its own, that's going to run first. And then these things that are functions will run as called. So if we jump to Python, so same thing here, where all those things are kind of down there. Doesn't matter. You can think of it as at the top if you think of it reading a file that way. So like all this stuff's going to happen first, and then the other stuff will happen. So again, like here's our on start. Here's our forever, and our forever doesn't really have much. If you see that, it has one if then, and then it has two different functions basically. So this one only uses two functions, but we include a bunch of other ones to get you going. And there's also two inputs, so it checks for a press on button A or button B, and then it calls other functions. So beginning, we set our variables, etc. Yeah, that is sort of my overview of that stuff. If you have questions or comments, now's the time to ask them. Nobody? Okay, cool. What else do we got? Sound effects. All right. Anyway, next week, Amanda will be back, so that'll be exciting. And we've got, I'm sure, some fun stuff planned. I could tell you if I do this. Hold on. Where am I? No, I'm too low. All right. I'm going to tell you what we're doing next week. Next week, on the 11th, we're doing Paper Circuits Light Up Heart Hat. That's a fun Valentine's thing. Then we've got a Paper Circuits Valentine's card, another Valentine's card, and then I'm not sure what's going on after that. This Tech Talk with Pete was brought to you by Brown Dog Gadgets. I'm not sure when we'll be back, because if Amanda's here, she'll be over there, but she's not here, so I'll just show you all these circuit boards while I tell you what we're up to. But again, as usual, any questions, email us. You can call us if you need customer support. You'll find the phone number on the website. All our guides, resources, all the 3D printed stuff we looked at yesterday, learn.browndoggadgets.com. And don't forget, you can follow us on all of these wonderful platforms and see what we're posting. Amanda's been posting a ton of video content, sort of short form video, just showing projects real quickly, that kind of stuff where you're scrolling and you see some funky fun video and you watch it for 10 seconds. Lots of that stuff. Yeah. Otherwise, keep checking out the stream. You can see all of our previous streams on YouTube. We love Maker Tape. I can't think of anything else. That's today's stream. So we'll see you next time.